Hayley, welcome to the Big Lab podcast. How are we doing?
All good, thanks. We got everything sorted. Excited to get on.
I know, we had a couple of technical difficulties again, so we're on the FaceTime camera instead of my normal one, but should be okay now. Obviously, we're going to have a bit of a conversation about your career change, which is probably a bit of an unconventional one, so to speak, because quite often people talk about climbing the ladder in the corporate world. You've sort of taken a step back in a completely different career change to becoming cabin crew. So what exactly inspired that transition to begin with?
I think a lot of it has got to do with when I started my fitness journey. Obviously, you work so hard to get into your corporate job, and because I had started becoming so active from a very immobile kind of no activity lifestyle, to then just sit down behind a desk for 8 hours a day was soul crushing. And there was always people bringing in cakes, biscuits, snacks, and it was just too much temptation, and it was kind of like running at a very strong wind. I'm trying so hard to look after my nutrition, my body, and then I'm just sat down, not moving, constant hot chocolates, fizzy drink, biscuits, so bit of everything really.
It's so easy, isn't it? I come from that corporate world myself, so I know it all too well. But was there an actual specific moment that made you say, I need to make a change? Or was it a gradual progression that sort of dawned on you over time?
I think it was quite gradual. Obviously, there was always little doubts in the back of my mind, but the kind of environment, the office environment that I worked in was quite old, worldy, toxic in a sense of the men sat upstairs, the women sat downstairs, and it was a lot harder as a woman trying to get different qualifications or different routes. Other opportunities were offered to different people, myself or others. So it was a lot of knocks that took that I finally just thought I'll have a little bit of a midlife crisis and try something I've always wanted to do.
So it wasn't necessarily the fact that it was just accounting, which a lot of people can find boring. It was the way the company was set up and the way it was ran, sort of thing. So what was it that made you get drawn to cabin crew? Was there any other sort of career paths that you thought about before you finally decided on cabin crew, or was that always the option?
I think I've always been a traveller from such a young age. I would never really go out or party. I'd save my money and I'd go on holiday. That's what I would spend every last penny on. I've always wanted to see the world. So it was kind of always a dream I never thought was attainable because of my weight and because of my lifestyle. So when I started looking after myself better, it gave me a little bit of a kick of maybe I could do this. So I kind of just went for it, not really expecting to get it. So I was very shocked when I did. But it's nice that it ties in the whole travel aspect as well as it being what I get paid for.
Yeah, you say that and you've got a world map right behind you in the photo.
Yeah, literal big map of the world.
As cabin crew then, do you not get a little bit gutted? Because obviously I imagine sometimes you're going from one place to the next that you don't sometimes get to stop off in some of these places.
Yeah, so I can obviously say I've been to a lot of places, but to actually say I've stayed over or experienced it, it's few and far between, but just the experience, everything to do with it. I'm also a bit of an aviation geek as well. I love everything to do with planes and stuff like that, and that expands into space shuttles and just I can't get my head around how something could be in the sky. So it's always interested me, but just the general going to different countries to say I'll come home from ET and I'm oh, I was in Poland 2 hours ago, or I've been to Italy and France today. It's just
It's a
funny
bit
to
crazy
say.
that, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah.
But so obviously you were working in the accounting world before this. How did your background in accounting prepare you for the challenges of cabin crew? Has anything sort of crossed over where you've used the experiences of being in the accounting on corporate world in your now cabin crew life?
I'd say probably negotiation is the main kind of trait. Obviously, speaking to different customers, it's quite sales orientated as well, accounting, and obviously anything technical or numbers and stuff. So I'm actually looking at progressing to becoming a base supervisor, which would be kind of a step back from flying. It'd be more background kind of work in my particular airline. But being able to like have that rapport with customers, I could transfer that over to obviously de-escalated situations on a plane. There's been a few where if you've not got them people skills, like you're just not going to get very far. And some people
Yeah.
just don't have it. Some people just aren't born to speak to other people. It's just crazy, but you have to. In my job, it's looking at 189 strangers every day. They're staring at me, so I'm kind of on the spot. I've got to know what I'm doing.
What's quite funny though is that you said you were worried about doing a podcast, yet your day-to-day job is speaking to people.
Yeah, I think it's more, I don't know, this is kind of on the spot because it's more like personal, isn't it? Like I
Yeah.
had to put my work face on when I go to work. So this is me. This is very like raw, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's fine. You're just speaking about your day-to-day in a slightly different way, I guess. So obviously there's the side of things where you use your negotiation skills day-to-day. Have you found any other sort of unexpected similarities between the two jobs?
Well, obviously, counting heavily about numbers and equations and stuff. And my end goal is eventually to train to be a pilot. So you've got to know
Wow.
a lot to do with obviously equations, numbers, stuff like that. You've got to work out altitude, ground speeds, any kind of like fuel injection, stuff like that. So I think a lot of it, when it comes to that next step in my journey, will transpire over. But for now, it's definitely a memory game because although I am cabin crew, like I'm also as highly qualified as a firefighter and a paramedic because we are the only people on board. Just like obviously knowing where kind of like the gauges of like blood pressure, oxygen levels, stuff like that. Everything's just helpful.
We'll have to get you back on in a couple of years when you've got your pilot's license, because that's some story going from accountant to cabin crew to pilot.
To pilot, literally.
Yeah.
The flying accountant.
Exactly. So is there anything that you miss about your old job?
I probably miss like the older women I used to work with. I felt like I had a little group of mums looking after me.
I was going to say work mums.
Yeah, you can't be
the
a
work
work
mum.
mum. And obviously there was days where, like, say the office manager would go home at about 2, 3 o'clock, and then from then till 5, you kind of just have a bit of a chill out. Whereas, like my job, I'm on 24/7. You don't really get a chance to do that, but it's rewarding anyway. I like to stay busy. I like to be active. I can't really be sitting down doing nothing. So I like that I'm constantly on the go. I always need to be doing something.
Doing all your steps in the air.
Oh yeah, always recording my steps, closing my rings.
So when you decided to go to a cabin crew, was there any initial reactions from sort of friends and family when you decided to make that shift?
I think I'm really lucky in that my family have always been supportive in whatever I wanted to do. Obviously, I absolutely dragged myself through uni to get into that corporate job. So my mum was the most supportive. She was just like, do whatever makes you happy. But then that's where like my mum and dad are a bit yin and yang, whereas my dad and my nan were they're very corporate based. So they were like, are you sure this is the right thing? They did obviously make me see it from every perspective and every angle, but they were always supportive no matter what. And as they said, like I've got that qualification, I've got my degree to always fall back on. It's once you've got yourself a foot in the door, it's not easy enough to get back in, but you'll still rank above a lot of other things. So I thought I may as well just give it a go. I'm still young enough to get back into it.
Yeah, that's true. Like, if there's something you want to go and do, it's best taking the risk than to have the regret of never knowing what could have potentially happened. Like, you could potentially be sat in a accountancy job for the rest of your life that you didn't enjoy, but by the sounds of it, there's a chance that you could become a pilot one day.
Exactly. And I have terrible FOMO, so if I don't try something, I need to know I've at least done everything I can to try.
So it's good to have that, obviously, support network around you with the family. Was there anyone that actually tried to talk you out of it? And if so, like, how did you respond to that?
Well, obviously, I work for Ryanair, so a lot of people haven't had negative opinions because obviously everyone's like, oh, it's a budget airline, you're not going to get paid well, this or that. But all the kinds of negative stereotypes didn't really transpire. I wouldn't say anyone talked me out of it. I have a really good group of people around me where they're really supportive and they trust in my comprehension of decisions, if you know what I mean. Like I wouldn't Yeah, if I want to do something, I'll do it, and I'll always get it done. They know that, so there's no stopping me really.
So even if they did have a bit of a worry, they knew that you were going to be okay in the end anyway.
Yeah, I've always
It's
got
always
that.
good. Yeah, I'm sure you do. With the transition then, did you come across any challenges in that transition and how did you overcome them? Was there anything that you maybe doubted your decision at any point?
There was so whilst I was doing my training, it's 6 to 8 weeks basic training, and it's you have to fund it yourself, and obviously you're not getting paid. So it was having that support to obviously I saved up first to make sure all my bills were paid and stuff like that. But I thought if this training for 6 to 8 weeks, if I don't pass it, like what am I going to do next? Because essentially I've been without a job and without an income for nearly 2 months. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking at times, but I'm a very theoretical person, and I smashed all my exams. I got 100% on pretty much every single one, so I was quite happy with that.
Flying,
But
literally.
overall, yeah, I work hard. If I want something, I'll always work hard and make sure I cover every aspect. So, no, there was no kind of worry during it. I was just relieved when it was over. But it
I
is the
find,
hardest airline to pass tests for, so that made me feel a bit better about it as well.
yeah, especially getting nearly 100% on everything. But I find it interesting that you have to fund the basic training. Like, is that
Yeah,
common for all airlines?
no, just Ryanair.
Okay.
Yeah, they are cheap even in that way.
Out of interest, how much are we sort of talking for that basic training, if you don't mind sharing?
So my particular one, so I was first based in Manchester. So the training was in Manchester city centre. So it was kind of like travel there every day. And then when we went to Dublin for our practical exams, although they paid for flights, you have to fund yourself while you were there. So it was like travel, food, water, everything like that. And just getting like certain, so I had to get a medical attestation, a DBS check, stuff like that. Just to obviously make sure I was fit to fly and get all the medical records, make sure there was no criminal records, stuff like that.
Crazy, because most jobs obviously take you on and then train you up. But yeah,
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? I don't even consider it a job because it's the one thing I've always wanted in life to have to work for nothing essentially. Like it doesn't feel like work to me. I love my job, and it's just so different from anything I've ever done. And I don't think you could put it to words unless you've done it yourself to know. But yeah, it's very individual and unique in their hiring process, but it's definitely worth it.
yeah, it's something that I'm not familiar with myself. Was there anything that you had to prepare for mentally or emotionally whilst going through this massive change in your life?
I'd say obviously I've always worked in kind of customer facing roles, but it was very daunting at first, as I said, standing in front of 190 to 200 strangers all staring at you, and then having that responsibility on my shoulders of if anything goes wrong, like shit, like it's on me, do you know what I mean? Like I am in charge. Like who's trusted me to be in charge? So that is even now, like sometimes I'll just turn to like whoever I'm flying with and I'm like, hey, if this goes tits up, like we've got to rope everyone in here. So
It's daunting enough getting on the plane and trying to make sure you're in the right seat. Never mind, stood at the front making sure everyone's happy.
yeah, it's a bit crazy, like
Yeah, just eyes staring straight at the plane.
oh yeah. And just because obviously I was always very self conscious and even though I've lost so much weight and like I'm a lot healthier now, I still get a little bit insecure. So standing in front of people and they're staring at you is terrible for your anxiety if you're having a bad day. Especially when they put you in a very fitted old school shirt and pencil skirt. So,
It's character building.
oh, definitely. You either swim or you sink, and wow, I've had to swim.
Yeah, you seem to be doing okay, especially if you want to be the main person at the front of the plane in a couple of years.
already am. I'm cabin supervisor.
No, I mean the pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot
at
about that
least,
one,
oh
yeah.
no, I just say they're all overpaid button pushers. They just get to sit in their box. They don't have to deal with people, and that's why I will get there one day.
Let's see if you're saying that in a couple of years when you're in that position.
And I imagine I'd be like, oh, do a bit more than that.
Yeah, I'm just an overpaid button pusher. So with the corporate world, obviously it's very Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Are there any changes? I imagine it's very different when you're having to get on planes and going here, there and everywhere. Has your perspective on work-life balance changed at all from moving from that very sort of regimented 9 to 5?
Definitely. So mine was actually, our office opened earlier, so I actually worked 7 till 3. And part of what helped me transition into this job is that I was going to the gym before work, so I'd start the gym at 5 a.m. So I'd get up at like 4.
I'm not about that.
Oh, I love it. I love an early gym. I'm an early bird. So obviously it was Monday to Friday, and the way my shift pattern is now, so I work 5 on, 3 off, rotational from earlies to late. But before my accountant job, I was a manager in Mackey's for 5 years. So I did all kinds of hours, all kinds of shifts. So my body clock's always been quite adaptable. To my earliest report for a flight would be 5 a.m. So if I want to go to the gym before that, I have to go up at 2 a.m. Which that means I have to go to bed at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And people might think that's insane, but I can't describe. I just love the routine of like go to the gym, go to work, and then when I finish, like I'm done. And I like the fact that I will be off on a random Wednesday, Thursday, when everyone else is in work or in school, and I don't have to see people. I can just go about my life, and it's just so chilled. And yeah, I like every day is different. No other day is the same. And even now, like I'm actually in work as we speak. I'm getting paid till about 10:30 tonight. I'm on home standby, so they can just call you at any point, and you've got an hour to report to the aircraft. So
Really? So you could literally get a message now and go, right, we need you to go to wherever, like Paris, in an hour.
pretty much, yeah. So touch wood, they don't call.
Jeez, yeah,
But
hopefully not. Also, the Reds
so
are on
yeah,
later as well.
yeah, they seem to have a habit of calling me when the footy's on. So
I think we're very different in the fact that you're a early morning gym goer and I go after work because we go to the same gym and I've never once seen you in there.
never seen you.
No.
What
Yeah.
time do you usually go though?
Anytime after work. I've been going a little bit later recently. The gym obviously shuts at 9 o'clock throughout the week. I've been going around 7, 8 o'clock recently because one, it's quiet and all the classes are pretty much done. And yeah, I get some podcast stuff done usually after work or I'm just chilling out. So
See, that's my
yeah.
bedtime.
Yeah. Well, the best thing about the gym closing at 9 is when I used to go to JD, it was a 24-hour gym. So I'd still go to the gym at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then it affects what time I'm going to bed then. So in a way, the gym closing at 9 is a good thing, but it's not ideal. If it gets like 8 o'clock, I start going, I'll leave it tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow
Yeah.
instead. But I always get my sessions in, so it's not an issue. But yeah, I can't train in the morning. I've tried to do it. I'm too groggy and just not got enough calories to get going. I need a good solid 2 meals in me.
I'm the opposite. I have to train fasted.
Oh, no.
If I eat
It depresses me.
anything, no, I start feeling ill, like sick. If I eat,
I feel sick because of the fact I can't lift the same weights as when I vet. That's my issue. I go to pick up the same weights as I usually do, and they just don't move. So, yeah, I have to have a good solid 2 meals down me usually. Which is strange because I used to train at like 8 o'clock on a weekend when I was rowing, and I'd only have breakfast and be sound. But I'd have a second breakfast and then have lunch as well. So I don't know.
Breakfast.
Yeah, so it'd be 2 sessions. So I'd be on the water at 8. I'd then have like a second breakfast like 10:30, 10 o'clock, and then have my lunch at like 12, 1.
I wish I could eat that many calories.
But yeah, but this was back when I was eating probably 5,000-6,000 calories a day without thinking about it.
Yeah. Plus you
And
were
I
rowing
was-
as well though, weren't you? So
Yeah, but I was like 2.5 stone lighter as well.
Wow, your metabolism must have been sky high.
Yeah, it was a joke, and I kind of wish it was still here, but it's not. So just going back to obviously the cabin crew,
Hmm.
do you prefer, well, like you were saying, you are on sort of standby now. Do you prefer that unpredictability of your current job, or would you prefer sort of the same job but the more routine 9 to 5?
No, it's not always unpredictability because obviously I have a roster.
Yeah.
I used to get really on edge. I think I'm very lucky because I started at Manchester, and I would get called pretty much every other standby. So I wouldn't see it as a standby. I would prep and know that I was essentially going to get called because obviously it's a bigger base, bigger airport, more issues arise in that sense. But I transferred to Liverpool, must have been about a year and a half ago now,
Hmm.
and it's just the best base ever because it's obviously smaller. We have less aircraft and everyone's been there for like 25 years, so it's like a family. So everyone kind of looks out for each other, and if anyone's going to ring in sick or if any issues come up, people text each other, and there's a big communication within the base. So it's not that I'm waiting on, so they call crew control who call me to say like you have to come off standby. So I won't have to wait around for that call. Like there's already a message in the group chat saying, this flight's out of hours, a crew are going to be called, or I'm ringing in sick, someone's going to get called. So you can have a bit
Yeah.
more preparation. I just love the work-life balance. Like, although I am on standby, it's given me opportunity. So, for example, I'm currently doing like my level 2 PT and my level 3 nutrition, and I'm using that time. Although I'm on standby and I'm getting paid, I'm using that to boost myself in other ways and open up different doors of opportunity. And it's my anxiety and my stress levels have gone down from being like 9 to 5 corporate accountant, which is what I was kind of brought up on, that was just kind of the path you have to take in life. So discovering that there is other routes that are less conventional and more open to flexibility, I would never change this ever. I don't think I could ever go back to a Monday to Friday 9 to 5.
Do you struggle then linking that in with like a social life? Because I imagine quite a lot of your friends do the Monday, Friday, 9 to 5. So I imagine quite a lot of the stuff they do is like Friday night, Saturday night. Do you struggle sometimes to keep a decent social mix?
So I actually am really benefited in that all my best friends are in the police. So they have
Right.
different shift patterns the way I do. And obviously we could sometimes go 2 weeks where we just won't align at all. We can't see each other. But then other times it is quite flexible. We all have random days off. And I don't think it has much of an effect on my social life with my friends who don't do the same role as me, but anyone in work on different rosters trying to make plans is a nightmare.
Constantly crossing over, just not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it's difficult. And I guess you've just got to be a bit more scheduled with everything, haven't you? Just lining things up whenever you can and just keeping on top of it.
I live by my diary. My diary gets filled in every day. You were open today, 5:30, even though I was on standby. But yeah, everything goes through my diary. Anyone texts me or tries to make plans with me, I'm like, if I've not got it with me, I have to wait till I've checked my diary because I don't know.
Do
I
you not
have
just
to
do it
have
on your phone?
That's the one thing, I need structure.
Do you not just do it on your phone, though?
I'm old school, I like writing stuff down. Plus, I can put like stickers and that. It's alright, Jamie. Can't put a sticker on my phone.
You can change the colour.
Ooh.
I put
I like
everything straight
little.
into my phone these days.
Well, do you know what I did try? I have like an app, obviously, for me roster to do with like flying and stuff to like just check there and then if I need to know like late or earlys or days off. But actual plans, I prefer like a physical diary. I like writing stuff
That
down.
is very old school accounting.
That's
Still
probably
lives
where
on
it
a little
comes
bit.
from. Honestly, I've got so many books next to me right now. Everything is wrote down. But then it's partially the way you trained as well, aren't you? So
Yeah,
even in
to be
uni,
fair, yeah,
I
I
wasn't a
still write
typer
like
upper, I was a writer.
I still write like a tick list with work stuff, but in terms of diary, it goes straight into my phone because it'll link to my Mac and it'll link to my iPad. So if I ever need to check anything, it's all there. And I have it all separated out in different colours. So I've got like a personal calendar, fitness one, a podcast one, and they're all in different colours so I can see what's coming up and what it is, like without even looking at the title.
See, that's fantastic and that sounds lovely and organised. what if something breaks, the Wi-Fi's down? It's just like stress. And I'm just like, I can just grab my physical diary
But you've got to take a
and
whole book
can put,
everywhere then.
I don't mind. I've always got a bag. I'm a girl. I've always got a cute
True.
little bag to go with everything. I've got my
True.
little diary.
True, because you don't always have pockets to put your phones in, do you? So you've got to have a
No,
bag.
oh, no, literally, fight for pockets.
So with the cabin crew then, what do you find most rewarding compared to the corporate world?
Most rewarding, I'd say meeting the completely different walks of life on every single flight. Like obviously different countries, different places, you have different cultures. And obviously there's some rude people. There's been incidents where I have had days where I've come home and I just can't speak to anyone. I'm like, I just need silence and to stare at the wall. And especially a lot of people lose their brain cells when they go on a plane. I've been asked some of the maddest questions in the world.
Have you got any
But then
examples?
you get one of the most people can't seem to fathom like where the toilet is on a plane. Like they try and walk into walls and into trolleys, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what have you drank in the airport? But I'd say rewarding wise, it's like hearing people's stories. I got a lot of people telling me obviously why they're going, where they're going, and it's quite heartwarming as well, and just different experiences. It's the way I could put it. It's like overhearing conversations of a million different walks of life. There's been old ladies who have come up to me and like, if I can do something to make someone's day as well, like I'll always go out my way. I like try and do like one good positive thing a day. And like, even if it's just like someone needs a tea bag, or I always carry extra sweets for kids because they always cry because of their ears and stuff like that. So I don't know, just every single day is different. Like I've not once felt like that dread of, oh, I'm at work tomorrow. Like I look forward to going to work. It's great.
Would you say it gives you like a greater sense of purpose than the
Yeah,
accountant
yeah,
because you're more
definitely.
helping people?
And more, although the actual airline probably doesn't value me any more than a number, it's more the atmosphere and the base and the people I work with compared to obviously in that corporate world of you're very interchangeable. You can just kind of take it or leave it. You're put into a box and told this is the way that you're going to perform the role. Whereas in mine, all the responsibility is pushed onto you and you're trusted with that. And that's what I like about it.
So what advice would you give to someone that was maybe in your position or similar, considering a drastic career change like yours, something completely different?
Bigger the risk, bigger the reward. I can't go through life with what ifs. I have to know that I've tried and fulfilled every need and desire that I've had. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, it's going to work out for you. I'm a big believer in if you want something to work, you can make it work. You get it done no matter what. You've just got to have the drive and have the mentality. Got to have faith in yourself.
Would you say there's a need to either sit down first and consider the potential pros and cons of both? Because it sounds like you're
No,
very much just
no,
go.
definite. Like, obviously, have a logical conversation with yourself. I did write a pros and cons list before I
Typical
went
accountant.
to this job. Obviously, the basics of, like income and career progression, stuff like that. But then I also like to take into account like lifestyle aspects and how it was actually making me feel and my mental health and stuff like that. And I'd say, because it's always kind of that catch-22 of do you follow your hopes and dreams or do you go with the safe kind of option of this path will always take you to, say, financial security or, the kind of rigmarole of get the job, get the house, settle down. That's the flow. But I don't know, I've never kind of fit into that flow. So just always try something.
I don't think that is for everyone, is it? I think there's a very sort of societal pressure of you've got to do this at this age, you've got to have moved out, married, kids by all certain ages. And I think obviously that doesn't work for everyone. And I don't think people need to feel that pressure if they are in that sort of position. Like just do things on your own term. And yeah, if there's something that you want to do, obviously explore the options because life's too short not to do the things that potentially are going to make you happy.
Literally, follow happiness at the end of the day. Find your happiness, you'll never work a day in your life.
Coming out with all the quotes now, aren't we?
I'm a guru. Cabin crew guru.
I bet you hear enough quotes, to be fair, day to day to pick them up.
Honey.
But yeah, I think, like we said, you've got to think of the pros and cons of both, whether it's going to benefit you or whether you just need to know what if sort of thing. And sometimes it is about going and failing and then just knowing that maybe that wasn't the best option because, like you said, you had your accountancy degree, so you could always fall back on that.
Obviously, not everyone's going to be in that same position. They might not have something to fall back on, but I think even if you do fall flat on your face, I've always kind of picked myself up with the sense of, but you know what, I tried it and I'm glad I've tried it, even if it didn't work. And you just get up and move on.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
obviously there's a lot of different things to take into consideration when
Yeah.
you're making such a big change.
Yeah, not everyone's got that mentality that if it does fail, that they can just pick themselves straight back up. But at the end of the day, you can in most situations. There's nothing stopping you. It's a mental thing. It's a mental block more than anything. I think you can't live with what ifs. You've just got to sort of go for it sometimes and take that jump, even if the cons do outweigh the pros sometimes.
Definitely. I think me with me quotes, it's a bad day, not a bad life.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
you've survived all of your bad days at the end of the day. It's not the end of the world.
No.
Life will continue to go on whether you have a little mentee bee or not.
This is true. This is very true. But before we end up turning this podcast into like a Pinterest board of quotes, we'll wrap this one up here. Obviously, you've mentioned before about your fitness journey as well. So if you want to just say a little bit about that, and we'll tag the account below if anyone wants to follow along.
Yeah, so obviously I started about 3.5, 4 years ago now. So I got to a point where I was like 19 stone, and I just thought, like, I've always tried to be fit and healthy, but it was kind of yo-yo dieting. And then I finally just kind of got this better attitude and mentality and stuck to it. And I've hit 9 stone lost. Few ups and downs, bumps along the way, but finally I've enjoyed the journey, realised I ended up loving fitness and I just want to help others. So I've trained I'm an online coach, I'm getting my level 2 PT, and I'm doing nutritionalist as well because obviously I've taught everything to myself, but I just want to now be able to give that information and that knowledge to other people to help them where I was in a similar position of I didn't know what to do, where to start. So even better if I can help others.
Looking from the outside, you've absolutely smashed your own personal journey. That's an incredible change that you've done, and obviously you can use that experience now to then help others. So like I say, I'll put all of your details below, and if anyone is interested in looking at Hayley's journey and maybe potentially looking for some help from someone who's been in a similar situation to you, go check it out below. But Hayley, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you to everyone that's listened as well. If you've got this far, make sure you drop a like. And if you are new, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.